Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Mukhaṁ karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim Yatkripatamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataram. Yatkripatamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataram. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So welcome once again to our daily. We are trying as much as possible to have it every day. Due to circumstances beyond our control, it may not be as ideal or maybe not happening. A little bit of news before our regular reading. As some of you may know, that the steering committee for Varnashram College Online is having its weekly meeting actually every Friday. And naturally, we discuss so many different aspects in preparation, especially for the upcoming inauguration on the 15th of May. It is good to remind everyone this will be on a Friday. It will be happening at 7:35 in the morning. The main live coverage will be at the Nandi sanctuary. It is a Goshala. Nandi is Lord Shiva's bull. Name is Nandi. So many bulls are there. 15th of May is Vrishava Sankranti, auspicious day where Vrishava, bull, Father Bull, is honored, remembered. So on that day, we hope to have a live coverage, not only here in India, in Mayapur, but in different countries. A few places have already confirmed. So we invite devotees who would like to be part of this very important event to kindly contact us. You can get the details from our website. Yesterday at our weekly meeting of the Varnashram College Online, we passed two resolutions whereby we have added two devotees to our steering committee. One is actually from Sharanagati in Western Canada, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada by the name of Bhava Prabhu, who is a certified, qualified teacher, very much in support, Hare Krishna, of Varnashrama Dharma. And the second devotee we are adding, we have created actually a new position for receiving, handling, and sorting out the various applications, especially student applications. So we have a director of admission for the college, and that is Vishnu Rata Prabhu, who is simultaneously our treasurer for the VCO, Varnashram College Online. So we welcome these two devotees. We have started to put up the biography of our main teachers, our main players who are members of the steering committee. We will be adding more information so that you can know who is all behind this initiative of Varnashram College online. As we have mentioned also in the past, we do invite, there is, we could say, unlimited scope. There are unlimited opportunities for presenting various subject matters that fall within the category of traditional education, that are especially meant to be useful for those who have a desire, who have an understanding of the importance and the need to live in a more self-sufficient community or atmosphere, which is traditionally village life. This, in no way do we want to minimize the very important ongoing preaching activities in our city temples all over the world, especially in terms of book distribution and establishing temples and prasadam distribution and harinam. This whole endeavor is to actually complete the whole picture, or we could say in many ways, realize tangibly, bring all of our philosophy to its natural, obvious, and desirable conclusion. What is that conclusion? That conclusion is that we should simply, live simply, simple living. We should slow down. We should not be caught up in the modern cycle of ever-increasing endeavors for material well-being, that also being the main goal and objective of most people in this world. We should rather be understanding and focusing on the primary goal of life. Dulabha manava janama satsange. Dulabha manava, it is very, very rare to obtain this human form of life. And what should we do, especially when we obtain this human form of life? Satsanga. We should be seeking out the association of devotees who know about the goal of life and who can teach us how to live our lives in such a way that we minimize our various material necessities of life and we focus on the primary goal, which is to develop our Krishna consciousness. So we are very excited about this venture of bringing to devotees all over the world, and gradually this will also give an opportunity for, we could say, non-devotees, people who have yet to know about this Vedic knowledge, this Vedic culture. We want, in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually our goal is to present the essence of the Vedic knowledge. Vidayasa sarvar aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavit eva chaham. Eva chaham, cha aham, Krishna is telling. I am the one to be known in the Vedas. I am the goal and the object of knowledge in all of the Vedic literatures, and that is in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The world has yet to know about the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the crest jewel of all knowledge, of all transcendental realizations. So this is ultimately where we want to bring people, where we want to bring as many conditioned souls to understand who they are, what the goal of life is. And Krishna has created this wonderful system of Varna and Asrama. Unfortunately, for so many centuries, it has been abused and misused. Now it is a proper time. It is high time that this opportunity is given to all of us, actually, by the mercy of our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, to present Krishna consciousness, to facilitate individuals and society at large to take up to the simple practice of devotional service within a more sattvic atmosphere. As Prabhupada would explain, Sanatan Dharma means Varnashrama Dharma. And Varnashrama Dharma means divine culture. This is our goal, introducing that divine culture, practicing ourselves that divine culture. So let us read and hear a few words from our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, from our book speaking about Varnashrama. And again, a reminder for everyone, we are offering the ministry here in India, ISKCON Daiva Varnashrama Ministry has announced about a week back or so that it is giving a complimentary copy, offering a complimentary copy of this book to each and every temple, ISKCON temple in the world. And you simply need to come in contact with our office in Sridham Mayapur. That is simply by writing to secretariat at iskonvarnasrama.com, and we will try to work out how to get you a copy of this book. We are now looking at our next chapter here. This is chapter or section number 40, and the title is, I think it should be right. A little challenging here because we don't have the regular light. May come on. This is a room conversation in Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. On the 6th of October, 1977. 6th of October 1977. This is approximately 1 month before Srila Prabhupada leaves us. Some of the themes in this section: Prabhupada's instructions more important than physical presence. Vani and Vapu. Vani means instructions of Guru. Vapu means physical service, physical presence of the spiritual master. Although it is very nice to have opportunity to directly serve the spiritual master in his presence, Vapu, more important, our acharyas explain, more important is to serve the instructions of Guru. So whether Guru is physically present or not, his instructions are actually more important, and we can develop a closer relationship with Guru, and we can receive, we can become more qualified to receive extra mercy by serving the instructions of the spiritual master. Then self-sufficient cloth production. To become self-sufficient also by making our own cloth. And our devotional service for Srila Prabhupada is actually his gift to us. So this was in Vrindavan when Srila Prabhupada was very ill, and he had received this very nice letter from devotees from Gita Magadi. And Ananta Krishna is reading this one letter from Satyabhama Mataji. She was Paramananda's Prabhu's wife, and the letter reads as follows. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to your divine grace. This shawl is made of the wool of our own sheep. So in the Western countries, you cannot grow cotton like in India. So you have to find different ways of making cloth. One of the ways is by having sheep. Like in New Zealand, we have hundreds and thousands, if not millions of sheep. This shawl is made from the wool from our own sheep, spun and woven here at Gita Nagari. It is the first piece we have made. we're happy to inform actually devotees that especially in the Western countries, like in North America or also in Europe, we have devotees right now in Czech Republic who visited the Sri Mayapur during the ILS this year, earlier this year. And they came in contact with the IDVM ministry where they had a stall demonstrating how they are making cloth with cotton. Those devotees were naturally very interested because they have started making cloth with other ingredients that they are growing. There are different ways in which one can be making cloth, and this is a whole science in itself which needs to be taken up by our different devotees as desired by Srila Prabhupada. And so Satyabhama Mataji continues here, while I was working on it, I would always think of you, of how I was supposedly making you a gift. So she was thinking like this, I'm doing this with the idea of presenting it to Srila Prabhupada as a gift. Then she explains, but actually you are giving me the gift of engagement in devotional service. Prabhupada, I always pray to Lord Nrsingadev to protect you and allow you to stay with us to finish your books. But I think today the rain falling, and it's falling here right now, from the sky is actually the tears of the demigods crying at the prospect of your departure. I am also crying. Even Krishna cried at the passing of grandfather Bhishma. So I have a right to cry. I cannot be so philosophical to say that you are always present in your books and teachings, though I know these things are true. I will miss you so much, Prabhupada, if you go. I beg that I may always remain your menial servant and devotee, your humble disciple, Satyabhama Dasi. And Prabhupada replied, please thank her, made with our own wool. The Prabhupada was very much appreciating that it was made from our own wool. Yes. And then in the next session, which we will read tomorrow, weather permitting, this will be some continued room conversation in Vrindavan. And the title is actually, I wanted to introduce this. I wanted to introduce this means I wanted to introduce self-sufficient communities. Communities where devotees grow their own food and live in a localized way, focused on developing their Krishna consciousness. Now we go to some of our questions. Yes. We are now on question number 96, actually. Our 32nd session. Today is the 2nd of May, 2020. And this is the last question from Rishi Kumar from Kuwait. Dandavats Maharaj. How to develop a special relationship with the spiritual master. Like a child wants to be favorite of his father, how can he become your favorite, Guru Maharaj? So that's a very nice question. How can one, what does it mean actually to become favorite? In a family, it will happen very often that the father or the mother will have one of the children, we say as their pet child, their favorite. Favorite means they're always giving attention to that particular child. In the material context, this is a very limited exchange that can take place, because our original father is Krishna, who is full of all potencies. Therefore, he can have hundreds and thousands of favorite children. He's not limited to having one of his children as favorite. In the same way, the guru or the spiritual master, who is meant to be the direct representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of course through his own spiritual master, he also develops that same compassionate mood of favoring all those who actually endeavor to take up nicely and seriously the process of devotional service. So that means that a spiritual master, he will give more and more of his time and attention to those who are actually becoming more and more surrendered, who are actually understanding the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mission of Lord Krishna, and who make tangible efforts to actually support and assist in this mission. So this will always be the case on the spiritual or the transcendental platform. One can become a favorite of the spiritual master, means, actually that is how our acharyas explain. Prabhupada would sometimes raise the point that sometimes people ask us or challenge us, can you show me God? Or can I see God? And Srila Prabhupada would answer, that should not be our mood or mentality. Our thought process should be how I can engage, what can I do so that God will actually notice me. I'm in this present material condition, in the material world. I cannot directly see God. But what is more important, I should act in such a way that I will attract Krishna's attention. So this is how one becomes a favorite of Guru and Krishna. A favorite of Guru and Krishna is one who will engage in activities and develop a mentality. Krishna consciousness is all about developing a higher consciousness. What is that higher consciousness? That I am actually having nothing to do with this material world. I am, a very nice point that Srila Prabhupada would explain within the context of Varnasrama, for example. Devotees look upon the system of Varna and Asrama just like in a drama. When someone goes on the stage and, let's say, acts out the role of a king, he knows he's not a king, but if he's a good actor, Prabhupada used to be a good actor. In Calcutta, he recalls the incident as well. I believe he was playing the role of Advaita Acharya. When one is a good actor, then there is the desired effect. The whole audience becomes captivated. The whole audience becomes moved by the message you want to give. So Srila Prabhupada explains that we as devotees, as aspiring Vaishnavas, we need to take up the roles, various roles within the Varnas and the Ashramas. I may be a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. I may be Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Regardless of these roles I will take, I know that this is only temporary and that the essence is to maintain and develop Krishna consciousness. So the whole system of Varna and Ashrama is meant to be seen in that way, that I take up this position and I try to play that role as perfectly as possible. And all of these roles are very nicely described in the Shastra. What are duties and qualities of a Brahmana? What are the activities of a Brahmana, etc. for all of the members of the Varnasrama system. But we perform all of these things with the primary goal in mind. On the stage for a drama, the goal is to please the audience. And on the stage of this material world, this drama of Varnasrama is meant to please Krishna. We take up Varnasrama to please Krishna, not to exploit. In the ordinary Varnasrama system, there is exploitation because the central focus is lost. That central focus, central point is bhakti or devotional service to Krishna. So in this way, Krishna has many favorites, and all of us have an opportunity to become Krishna's favorite by learning more and more the process of surrendering. That is Sharanagati. Saranagati begins with understanding our very fallen position as eternal servants of Krishna. Let us go to another question here. This is from question number 97. Question number 97 from Lakshmi Narasingha in Hyderabad. Hare Krishna, Dandavas Pranam. By birth, we will be born with one kind of varna, and after becoming Krishna conscious devotee, will our birth varna have influence? So yes, by birth, we are generally, by the law of karma, born more under the influence of goodness, under the influence of passion or ignorance, or in a mixture of all of these. And accordingly, one who, due to having performed pious activities in one's previous life, has developed the mode of goodness, then that mode of goodness will carry in the next birth. And likewise, if one has only has not developed the mode of goodness, is still very much either in passion or ignorance, then that will be largely the predominating mode that will influence an individual. However, when one comes in contact with Krishna consciousness, one can be elevated. That's the whole purpose of Krishna consciousness. Even if somebody is born heavily influenced by the mode of ignorance, that is a position of Shudra. If such a person comes in contact with bhakti, the process of devotional service, one can rise above, even within one lifetime, these modes of material nature. Materially speaking, one may still have natural tendencies to perform activities that are generally performed by Shudra, which are mostly activities of a manual nature, manual work. But this is where we were explaining some time back the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. What determines the varna? The varna is determined by two things, guna and karma, as Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita. Chatur varnam maya sristam guna karma vibhagashaha. I have divided society according to varna based on guna, the qualities, and karma, the activity. So for a devotee, before somebody comes in contact with Krishna consciousness, means the non-devotee, he is heavily influenced. The guna are the modes of material nature, and it will be a mixture, etc. And according to these modes, then one will take up some particular karma or activity. But for a devotee, somebody who comes in contact with this knowledge of Krishna consciousness and cultivates this knowledge, then the guna will change. The guna will become transformed. In the ordinary system, where, let's say, bhakti is not known, but the system of varnashrama is there, one gradually is meant to come up from the lower modes to the higher modes. But in Krishna consciousness, when one, even though coming from a lower mode, gets an opportunity to practice bhakti in the good association of Vaishnavas, then one can rise from these lower modes, from all the modes of material nature, and attain the highest level. Even though one's external activity may be that of one of the four varnas. So therefore, what is most important is the guna, the quality of consciousness. But it doesn't mean that everyone who takes up Krishna consciousness becomes a qualified person to be a leader in society, for example, which is especially the role and responsibility of brahmanas and kshatriyas. So these things relating to one's varna can best be discussed and can best be understood by senior Vaishnavas. Therefore, one of the foundational principles of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, out of the 64 qualities or items, rather, of devotional service, the first 10 are directly related with knowing and choosing and serving under the good guidance of a qualified spiritual master. And in this way, the spiritual master will guide one as to what activity one should be taken up in one's life. Yes. So that is why also, although, yes, there are so many influences. We're all influenced due to the law of karma by the position of the stars, etc. like this. That's why astrology plays an important role in the lives of individuals. At the same time, those who take up fully Krishna consciousness, they're not as bound up by these material influences, because activities of bhakti are beyond that, and Krishna, who is the one who controls the material energy, the Bahir Anga Shakti, he can make different arrangements that otherwise would not have been possible. So in other words, bhakti, this energy of bhakti, this antaranga shakti, this internal energy of the Lord, can overcome, is more powerful than the material energy. Therefore, the expression of transcending, this is what happens as one surrenders more and more to the process of bhakti devotional service. One becomes less and less under the clutches of Maya, means less and less influenced by the modes of material nature. So much so that actually the position of a pure devotee is that he is no longer affected or influenced by the modes of material nature. Not only that, our acharyas and our shastra explain that anyone who's fully absorbed in activities of bhakti devotional service, not only is he no longer under the influence of the modes of material nature, he is also no longer under the influence of the threefold miseries of life. Adhyatmic, adhibautic, and adhidaivic. These are all pressures, influences, material pressures that are there on every living entity. But when one is situated, firmly situated in that higher consciousness, then he is less to the point of no longer being affected. So therefore, that high level of consciousness, which is the outcome of one who practices Krishna consciousness, has this tremendous benefit of bringing one completely beyond these modes of material nature and completely beyond these threefold miseries of life. Let us go to another question, which is question number 98. And this is coming from Srutakirti Prabhu from Kakinada. That's in Andhra Pradesh here in India. Hare Krishna Maharaj, kindly enlighten me why we have to follow Varnashrama Dharma. Is this for our pleasure or for the transcendental pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna? Actually, it is primarily for the pleasure of Krishna. Everything that we do is actually meant for the pleasure and the satisfaction of Krishna. And when we do this, we also, it is not only something that will be pleasing to Krishna, but it will bring us also immense benefit. When one follows, applies the system of varna and asrama, then the end result is that one gradually becomes more and more situated in the mode of goodness. Brahmabhuta prasandatma na sochati na kanchati. A devotee is one who actually will come to this level of prasanatma. Brahman realization that I am different from this body. That is the beginning of self-realization. Aham Brahmasmi. So when one, by taking to this process of varnasrama dharma, by taking to the process of daiva varnasrama dharma, one will come to that position of transcendental realization. One will no longer be affected by the dualities of this material world. One will not be experiencing hankering and lamentation, not sochati na kanchati. One will be experiencing peace of mind. One will be able to experience happiness. That is also confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, evam prasanna manaso. Having come to the mode of goodness, the mind becomes happy, peaceful, satisfied. Evam prasanna manaso. And with a peaceful mind, one can engage in bhakti. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sanghasya jayate. It is a very, very complete and scientific system. So therefore we practice. In the beginning, we may not, because in sadhana bhakti at the beginning level, we may not always be experiencing satisfaction. For example, when one takes the Krishna consciousness, one needs to follow all these different rules and regulations, like rising early in the morning. Small example. Most of us, before we come to Krishna consciousness, we are not accustomed to rising early in the morning. Western way of life is allowing one to rise after the sun. According to Shastra, one must rise before the sun. One must rise before the sun. And immediately after taking bath, attend a morning spiritual program, Mangalarati, Mangala. To make, Mangala means auspicious. That ceremony, those prayers that will make my whole day beneficial or auspicious. So therefore, in the beginning, we find it difficult. So it is not pleasing to rise in the morning early or to take a cold bath. But we voluntarily accept these austerities. It's not always easy to be chanting 16 rounds a day, which is recommended. And when one lives in a temple, he must follow. So this is all part of Varnasrama Dharma. Varnasrama Dharma means following rules and regulations. So a devotee learns to develop this mentality. Whether it is pleasing to me or not, the criteria is if it will be pleasing to Krishna. My so-called material happiness and distress, that comes and goes. That is secondary. What is most important is to serve and to please Guru and Krishna. By doing this, our consciousness will gradually become purified and we will be able to also experience transcendental happiness. So there's a whole gradual elevation or gradation, beginning from the first level. That's all very nicely explained by our Goswamis, Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion. So these books, the science, the complete science of bhakti, of devotional service, how by becoming very fixed, by becoming very strong rather in our faith in the beginning, aro shraddha, then tato sadhu sangha, by associating with serious devotees and by taking up the same practices that they are following, and by gradually leaving behind all kinds of bad habits and bad activities. These are in connection with the four rules and regulations. By avoiding intoxications, by avoiding illicit sex life, by avoiding meat eating and gambling. We gradually, therefore, become properly situated, develop the mode of goodness, and then we, at that stage, can begin to feel transcendental pleasure and happiness. So it means that actually we take up the process of devotional service first and foremost to please Krishna and to please Guru, and in due course of time we also will become fully pleased and happy. Just like our acharyas give another example. A patient, someone who is having some disease, and he goes to see the doctor. He's still in a disease condition, but the doctor knows that if he takes this particular medicine and follows this particular diet, then within a period of two weeks or 1 month, he will be cured. So the person, the diseased person, if he simply follows those good instructions, in the first 1 week or second week, he will be taking that medicine, following the diet, but still feeling inconvenience because the disease is still affecting him. So it is in a similar way. We follow the prescribed rules and regulations that are given by our acharyas. That is called sadhana. Sadhana means practice. We practice. Even though we don't like to rise early in the morning, even though we don't like to be chanting because we have other activities or other attractions, we perform those activities on the order of Guru and Krishna. We use our higher faculty of intelligence. These material senses and this material mind is always, this is called the lower self, is always alluring us and bringing us in contact with objects of sense gratification. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita explains we should learn to utilize our intelligence, the higher faculty of the intelligence, to control the lower faculty of the mind and the material senses. So it means that ultimately we perform devotional service and we perform and follow the system of Varna and Asrama so that we can be gradually cured of our material disease as well as our spiritual disease, and then gradually become reinstated or resituated in our original transcendental consciousness, which means that both it is pleasing to Krishna and immediately it is pleasing to Krishna. It may not immediately be pleasing to me, but in course of time, like the patient, by following the prescription and the guidelines given by the physician, then one will become healthy. And by being healthy, one will be happy. So this is the situation. I believe we are close to the end of our session here. Yes. Today we received quite a few questions from different devotees. So we want to thank the devotees for continuing to send in questions. Do keep in mind, I see there are many things in relation. Varnashrama dharma is such a vast subject matter. I was just speaking today to one devotee who was mentioning that actually now it is this lockdown. All of us are in lockdown. I just came to know today that we here, the devotees at SSKBK in the south of Karnataka, we are in the green zone. Of course, we knew that already because everywhere, everything is green here. Because we're in the middle of nature. Sahyadri mountain range is green by nature. So we have now certified green from the government, central government. Of course, those who are 65 above, over, cannot go out of the house. So I cannot go out of the house. What to speak of traveling anywhere. And those who are under 10 also. But the point I was wanting to make is that these, and I'm sure it's happening to many devotees, this shutdown is giving, and we should take advantage, giving us more time to actually be with Srila Prabhupada's books. Those who are intelligent will utilize this extra time that we have. Now we don't, those who are accustomed to traveling to work every day by car for 1 hour or 2 hours and then coming back another 1 hour, that's 4 hours lost. You have 4 hours extra now. And most people in the workforce, they have to travel to work. That is one of the important lessons given in Vedic literatures. Vedic culture is meant on a lifestyle that does not require leaving one's home to work. That's called localized living. And this is becoming more and more in vogue. More and more people are realizing the need and the importance of becoming localized. So this one devotee was mentioning that now I'm getting, for the last close to 2 months, every day, wonderful opportunity to read Srila Prabhupada's books. And I'm getting some very nice realization that practically every other page, this is a very nice realization this devotee was sharing with me, very responsible devotee, in Krishna consciousness for many years, but he was sharing how now I'm getting more time to read, and every other page I'm seeing that Prabhupada is talking about varnashram. Practically speaking, you cannot avoid the word varnashram. I looked it up actually in the folio. It is there thousands of times. The word varna, the word ashrama, the word brahmana, the word kshatriya, all of these terms in connection with varnashrama dharma. It is such an integral part of our Vedic culture that we cannot avoid it. The longer we avoid it, then the greater we will suffer. The greater we will, the longer we will have to wait to actually get the desired benefits of this natural system of varna and ashrama. So once again, thank you to all the devotees, and we apologize for a dark session today. We lost our electricity, has not come back, not too much rain. So we hope to see you all again tomorrow. Let us end our session today by together chanting or reciting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,